Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today. Welcome, Constantinos.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Today we have author Constantinos Koumontzis. Oh, I probably butchered that anyway.
Pretty close. That's good. Yeah, Koumontzis.
Koumontzis, thank you.
Of course.
And he is the author of She Looks Like Fun. And I'm not even going to try. Is it dark romance or is it psychological thriller?
Yeah, more psychological thriller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fun. So, set up the character, set up the story for us.
Absolutely, yeah. So it follows Anne Bonny, who's a Chicago-based elementary school teacher living a double life, posing as an escort to use her clients to fulfill her more violent desires, I would say. One night, these worlds collide when her client, the two worlds collide, and so she spends much of the story trying to avoid spiraling into madness and letting these two worlds bleed into one another.
So is it like one of her kids' parents or something?
Yeah, so yeah. Twists revealed. It ends up being one of her students' parents, being one of her clients, and it's like the kid that she most gets closest to and connects with the most in her class, who's a little bit of a loner. She feels a very deep connection with them, and they kind of have a parallel relationship, and then ends up his dad becomes one of her clients, and so she, obviously she doesn't want to kill this kid's father, and it all ends up kind of spiraling in her face, and it's all this kind of will she, won't she go after this guy, and is he worthy of, the punishment that she seeks to give to the clients that she has.
Interesting. So is she hired to do this to the clients, or this is just she's going
No, so
after
she's got her own sort of I would say self-imposed justice system that she's enacting on these clients because of the world that she was in before, and breaking out of it, and then she kind of developed sort of I want to say this addiction to what she was doing, almost like a Patrick Bateman kind of style, and so she sees the world as this flawed place, and she sees these people as manipulators, and so she's taking it upon herself to kind of satiate this desire that she has and it ends up being kind of this repetition compulsion that she has, and she's trying to manipulate her own world, and that's her way of controlling her own past trauma, is by continuing to do this, and then once she stops doing it, it ends up making her kind of spiral more and more into madness.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I interested because do you feel like, okay, so first of all, is it first person account or are we getting
Yes,
a third person?
so she's telling you the story the whole time. Yeah, so
So she's telling you her point of view of the story,
correct.
right? Is she making herself look better? Do you feel compassion for this
Oh
character?
yeah, I think and definitely some of the feedback that I've been receiving from readers is that you definitely kind of hate to fall in love with her pretty quickly. Like it's very almost like this dark satire, and she's this almost endearing character. She's uh, very raw, and she has her own very gritty voice, and struggles to fit into society. She's kind of her own loner. She's trying to assimilate, and she's trying to find her place in the world, and isn't really getting anywhere. And it's always, her trying to fit in, and her trying to act like everyone else and to appear normal. And I think we can all kind of relate to that in a way. And we've all been there, even if we don't let it on. And so that makes her kind of this grounded person, even though she's doing this terrible thing. And she's also kind of funny at times. And she's someone that you hate to root for, but you're in this kind of flawed protagonist's viewpoint. So you're seeing everything from this kind of skewed perspective.
Right. And do you learn her backstory throughout the story?
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of yeah, throughout there's going to be little pieces where you can piece together how this all came to be, and kind of that this wasn't just one thing that turned her on her head. It's not like it's like something happened to a friend of hers or a parent or whatever, and it's this revenge plot. It's more of this slow build, which I think is a little more realistic for people, especially people who were bullied throughout their life, that it's not this black and white and very obvious thing that happens to people. It's over a span of time, and people react differently to trauma, and that trauma builds rather than something that's just like this immediate switch. So yeah, you see that these pieces throughout her life led her to having this kind of viewpoint on the world.
Well, you can imagine that someone that's repetitively bullied or repetitively
Right.
had things done to them with like these little things would add up and add up and add up and add up until you're like,
Right. Yeah. And
I
then there's
need to
that
do
one big
something.
explosion. Exactly.
Right. Or it can be small explosions over time.
Yes, yes, yeah. And
Interesting.
she keeps seeing that in the world that she's in now. There, she keeps seeing that like her perspective is that people are kind of now this malleable, not that we're a materialistic society, almost more that the people themselves have become that material and that they're changing themselves either to sell out or to try to manipulate other people to gain for like selfish gains. And so she sees that, and it's this, she sees everyone's treating her that way, and that's how she's been her whole life. And so it's almost like I'm going to make these people pay for how they treat me and everyone else.
Right. I would think so. Just having had a mental disorder myself, I was anorexic at one point, and I'm not saying that all
Mhm.
mental disorders or addictions or things like that are, but I think you get very tunnel visioned, like
Right.
whatever your emotional place you're in, you get very tunnel visioned of
Absolutely.
don't you have blinders on and you're
Yeah.
only seeing one thing. So
Yes.
you're only reacting, you keep reacting the same way to that one thing, even though if you had these blinders off, if you could see it maybe in a more balanced way, you would see the nuances of
Yeah. And the
not
deeper
black
and
and white.
deeper you get, I think, into that, the more and more the blinders become more and more narrow. And she's essentially doing that. And it is the most, I would say, like extreme version of having any kind of mental disorder or mental instability taken to the biggest extreme of doing what she's been, what she's doing in the book. Um, but it almost can be like, you can relate to it if you've had any kind of struggle with any mental disorder, and that's kind of hopefully the point, that people relate to it because, oh yeah, I've felt that way before. I've felt so tunnel vision because I couldn't see with the blinders off, because once you kind of are down that tunnel, you kind of do get locked in, and it's hard to take a breath and step away.
Right. Your mind always gets trained to like repeat the same thing, and that what feels safe and that feels like you're in control of things. So you
Yes.
don't want to stop that, right?
Absolutely.
Is your background psychology? Where did you come up with the idea for this
So
book?
I always loved, like, I always loved villains. Whenever I was like, when I was a kid, like I was always more interested in like the Batman villains or like Star Wars villains or whatever when I was younger. And then, so I was always really drawn to like flawed characters. I love the concept of duality with a character. I love that you can have an audience fall in love with somebody, yet they're doing kind of terrible things, like, that sort of that flawed protagonist, and anti-hero is always something that intrigued me. And then I love doing, like, when I went to school for writing, but my favorite classes that I did were like criminal psychology classes. And so it was so interesting, learning about the psychology of people to do, of a psychopath versus a sociopath, and all these like antisocial personality disorders. So that was really interesting to me. And so I was like, okay, how can I blend this all together in one character who's kind of unique, who's fresh, and then who also is struggling with something, is flawed, but relatable. And so this is where I landed, was on Anne Bonny. And I kind of developed her at first in a writing class. In college, and I was just like workshopping characters, and it was like a teacher living a double life, and she's also committed murder, and I was like, okay, that could be something. So I sat on that for a while, and like 4 years later, I was like, okay, this could be a book. I'm gonna go into it. So And I love doing
Fun.
research. I love researching all the different serial killers and everybody. So that was really fun.
Well, I have a book for you, and I love this book, and I think you'll love it if you haven't read it. It's called Psychopath, and it's
Okay.
a memoir of a psychopath by Patrick. Gosh, I can't think of her last name, but she's writing as a psychopath, and she becomes a PhD psychiatrist
Oh, wow.
to help herself, right? But she explains in detail like how it feels to be in that place and how when you can't feel anything, doing these extreme things is what if you
Mhm.
feel like you have to do just to feel something, right? It builds and builds and builds, and then you're like, I
Right.
have to do this, right? And so she is like brutally honest about everything she did and her routines and how she her uncle worked in a
Is it a true
pain.
story or?
Yeah, it's a true
Oh,
story. Like
oh,
she's
wow.
writing her true story. So look it
Oh,
up. I
God.
won't go. I
Yeah.
could talk about the book for a long time. I'm sorry. I won't get off the
No,
topic.
I definitely
But
gonna check it
look
out.
the book
Psychopath.
up.
It's just called
It's
Psychopath.
Psychopath. And
Okay.
Patrick, somebody. I can look it
I'll
up for you later.
find it.
But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, so she writes like very honestly about her life and how she tried not to end up in jail. So it's very cool.
God.
I think you would like it.
Jesus.
Um,
She did it to avoid.
Right, to avoid
Oh
being in
my
jail. Like her
God.
uncle worked in a state penitentiary or
Oh,
something and took
wow.
her at a very young age to this, and she saw these criminals who were
Yeah.
basically never getting out of jail. And she like put stops on herself so that she
God.
did these little things that
Yeah.
at least she could feel something, but she didn't do something bad enough where she'd end up in jail, right? So
Oh, wow.
whole mental game.
That's really cool. I gotta check that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Sometimes I can get overwhelmed by those thriller things because
Yeah.
oh, this is a normal person, but
Yeah, that's
normal
crazy. That's
people
real.
shouldn't. It makes you scared of normal
Oh
people.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've had some people even be like, "Are you okay?" to this book, just because it's like, I tried to, I definitely, it's definitely twisted, and yeah, I've had some people who are like asking other people like, hopefully is Constantine all right? Is he all right, or did something happen to you? I'm like, no, I just, but I feel like sometimes writers do that too. The reason they're writers is this, they want to avoid doing the thing in the book.
Maybe so.
You know what I mean?
No, I have a sister-in-law who did criminal psychology too, so she's pretty
Oh,
dark, so
cool.
I can hang with the dark
Yeah.
people.
Nice. All right, sweet.
Um, what was the choice to make it a female character versus a male character?
It just felt right from the get-go, and I kind of wanted to flip some tropes. We always see, I mean, I wanted to do something unique and fresh, and I feel like we see a lot of the male serial killer taking advantage of, women, or we see they have like a history killing, prostitutes or something like that. And I feel like, okay, that's been done so many times. Let's flip these tropes. Like, let's have a woman who is almost doing this completely unjustified and only to herself, and kind of a dangerous female character that's, you know everything you want in this kind of a genre, but flipped. And yes, for some reason I really liked writing from a female perspective. It was really fun because I got to, like, it was like I was completely just like not myself anymore, and I was just like, and I had made sure to have all female editors. So I was like, am I sounding realistic? Am I hitting where I need to hit? But yeah, I don't know. I just like it was just how the character originally was born in my mind, so I stuck with it, and yeah, that was just where I landed.
And I'm interested in how you chose her name because I mean, it sounds like Bunny. Was that intentional or
Not really.
did
So
this
Aunt
kind of
Bonnie is
happen?
actually, I'm also I like pirates a lot. And Anne Bonny is actually like the most famous female pirate.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that was the inspiration for the name. Yeah.
A very courageous character too, then
Yeah, very
maybe,
courageous,
and
very
maybe a little
actually,
edgy because
yes,
pirates steal things from people. So
exactly. And I wanted to add that edge to Anne. Um, and she's kind of her own woman in a world that's, like male dominated, and it's her against the world. And I felt like that was kind of Anne Bonny the pirate story,
mm.
yet she was so deadly and so fearsome and respected. Um, and she did that on her own, and she had this reputation. So that was really kind of, yeah, the inspiration for the name.
Interesting. I mean, obviously it's from her point of view, so you see what her victims maybe. I don't know. I just read the little blurb, so I didn't get that much into it, but um yeah, so she lives in this big city. How does she choose her victims?
So she's hired on these online escort sites, and each time she always has this created new persona, and she'll like. So I did a lot of actually research into the cyber world of escorts and everything like that, and and it was really interesting that you could just it was very easy to find somebody, and you don't know who they are, or who you like. You could, if you were a client, you could completely hide yourself too. So it's kind of this very dark world and this underground world that's like very I want to say unregulated. And so she uses that as the vehicle to kind of find men specifically that are and then once they hire her, or yeah, they hire her, she pretty much learns that they're, in her mind, worth being killed.
Eliminated from
Yeah,
our society.
yeah. So she sees all these men that are hiring and exploiting these young women as, manipulative men and terrible men who deserve to die. And luckily throughout the book, most of them are. There's a few
Except for this
characters.
one guy. I'm
Yeah,
really worried about this kid's
and
dad.
that's the whole point with the guy that hires her. That's the guy's parent. Is he like all the other men?
Mm,
Is everybody the same? Is everybody actually manipulative and actually treating everyone like an object? And that's kind of the whole big question. And that's what throws her for such a loop, is like, I've been used to seeing all these men like this, and each time I've found my own reasoning behind why I'm going to kill them, even whether it's in the moment, whether she does research into their life beforehand. But then with him, he's like this wrench in her mechanism, and everything kind of comes to a halt. And so she's thrown and not sure how to act. And then added stakes the fact that he is her student's father.
right. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to read it because it's going on my list, and we won't give too much more away.
Yeah.
I did see that you had won an award for some prior writing, perhaps, and you're a film writer as well.
So I do film and TV writing, and I produced a short film 2 years ago now. And it was in the Holly Shorts Film Festival. And that was really fun. And I learned a lot of crazy, like, producing is a million different jobs wrapped into one title, even for a short film. But it was really cool to learn kind of what goes into making a film and what goes into editing and getting it finished. And as a writer, you only get better as a writer when you learn all the little other elements to it. But yeah, so then I'm also writing it. I'm trying to get a TV show picked up right now, and then I've written a couple of screenplays that are in the early stages of financing and getting produced. So hopefully, those see the light of day at one point.
Well,
But
that's super exciting.
yeah,
That's really neat.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a novelist, but I took a screenwriting course this year just to kind of
yes,
stretch myself
yes.
with plot and characters and things like that. And it was good. I liked I was adapting one of my books, so it was fun to see how like it changed. Like I
Mhm.
even changed my own work so
Oh
much
yeah,
just to make it fit like a movie.
right. Yeah, I adapted the this into a screenplay even, and that was such an interesting, you know, process, because certain things that work in a book aren't going to work on screen. And then you kind of need to see, okay, is this going to be cinematic enough? Is this going to be, I can tell this thing, I mean, you have 2 chapters and you can squeeze it down into a minute, and
Yeah.
it's crazy because it's such a different muscle, I think, writing even, or just thinking in a film and TV. Even film and TV have differences, but like screenwriting versus novel writing, you kind of have to, like, you just have to do things a little differently and use different muscles creatively. But I think it's really good to be able to do both, because you can adapt those skills, interchangeably, because you do need the bigger picture ideas that you get from writing a novel into a film. And sometimes I feel like when people are writing screenplays, it almost would be a benefit, just write the book first. And you'll develop all the characters, you'll develop the whole world out, and you'll really learn it all as the writer, before you even start writing the screenplay. Because I think that's the best thing to have, is like, everything as the writer.
Right. Their backstory, why they're doing
Right.
something, their motivations, their whole
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
where do they want to go from here? And that can be put in little subtle ways in a movie,
Yes.
that most people will pick up on, right? I mean, maybe not
Absolutely.
everybody, but you'll pick up on that. So it makes it richer when you already know, I think, all those
Right.
details.
And you can use different methods in screenwriting than just telling, like, you can have things that people see or hear, or just like little giveaways or things in the dialogue. Not everything is just laid out for you like it would be in a novel. Whereas, like, you kind of have to learn, where do I put these little pieces throughout the film, for instance, that I could just have had just on the page before. And it's fun because now, as the writer, when you develop things so deeply, I think you start just becoming that character a little bit, and you're writing as them, and they kind of take over. And that's really what you need, I think, in both novel writing and film, is because it's got to be character driven no matter what. So that's why I think once you have that down, you're able to figure out, well, what will work to show this character is going through this, in this scene, that I had a cool descriptive paragraph about in the novel, but now I can do it in a completely different way, on the screen.
Right. So when you were writing this novel, did you see it in your head as a movie or a screenplay?
Oh yeah, I kind of like to think, visually anyways. I like to imagine, you know, what a chapter will look like, or what a scene will look like, before even writing it, just because then I have like a nice visual, and then I'm kind of in the scene as well. It feels like I'm very, because I'm very immersive with my writing. And so I kind of envision it. I'll act it out, and I'll like be alone, and I'm just like in my room or my office, and I'm just like going through the scene, almost as if I'm like acting it out between characters, and I'll just be like writing it as I go, or like write it and then I'll say it out loud just on paper. Um, and then just kind of imagine how it would look, and if it's exciting to look at and to be in it in my head, okay, it's gonna be exciting on the page.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah.
What's next for you? Do you have any more novels coming out, or are we totally focused on screens?
I'm right now, well, I'm pretty focused on both. I I've definitely working on a sequel to She Looks Like Fun. And there's another novel that I've been writing, um, and it's a little different. It's still like a psychological thriller, but I'm still kind of working that one out, and that's kind of in the process right now. So that's where I'm deep in that. I just finished the audiobook for She Looks Like Fun. I was editing that whole thing, and that took a couple months. So that was such a different thing I've ever had to deal with, was editing audio. And I thought that was cool because I got to learn like clipping and doing all this different stuff. And that was I think the last 6 months or so. So it was kind of hard for me to write at the same time, besides just doing some screenwriting stuff. But yeah, so now got a couple novels in the works, and then hopefully the film projects as well.
Oh, fun. Yeah. So I guess she's not in jail, or she hasn't killed herself
Oh,
at
you'll have
the
to
end of the
read the
first
book to
book.
find out. Yeah.
Or maybe she is in jail and
No, you never know.
that's true. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Orange is
It
the
could
new
be an
black
escape. It could
situation
be,
here.
we don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah. Fun. Yeah, I love audiobooks, so I may wait for your audiobook
Yeah,
to come out.
it's out now.
Oh,
It
it's
just
out now. Oh,
started,
good.
yeah, it's on Audible, it's on Spotify. I think it's included with Spotify Premium if you have that. And I think Audible, there's a membership too.
You're
So
right. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
yeah, so it's on those.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I buy way too many audiobooks, but just I mean, listening to your own book is a cool
It's cool,
experience.
yeah. And I had, since it's obviously a female character, I had an actress friend do the reading for it, and she just did an amazing job. And she's and I kind of wanted it to be this very like almost like monotone Gone Girl-esque sounding, reading, and I'll listen back, And I'm like, oh wow, I wrote that. That's good. Just like, oh, that's pretty haunting. I can't believe I did that. And it's like
Scare
it's
yourself
cool
here.
because I'm being able to kind of experience it in a different way than I thought I would be, which is kind of, it's very nice because usually you don't get that.
Yeah, well, I would think with this character, she has to disassociate a little bit because,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it takes a certain something to kill someone, I think.
Right.
So,
Right. Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
I don't know what that is, and hopefully I never do. So
Yeah,
we'll
same
keep
here.
it
I
that
think just on the
way.
page, I'll stick to killing on the page, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, this has been so much fun, Kostas, but author name Constantinos
Koumontzis.
Koumontzis. Okay.
Yeah.
And tell everyone where we can find you.
So yeah, you can find the book on Amazon. Should be through Ingram Spark as well. I think they do it through Barnes and Noble, I believe. Yeah, so Amazon, Audible, Spotify for the audiobooks. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. Yeah, if anyone ever has any questions, I'm always happy to talk about it. I love talking about the book and writing in general.
Great. Yeah. So She Looks Like Fun is the novel we've mostly been talking about, and we will have all the links on the show description. Thank you for being here, and I hope you will come back when you do the sequel because
Yes, absolutely.
I will listen and I will be waiting.
Yeah,
for the
I
next
want to talk about
one.
Psychopath next time because I will have read it.
Yes, we can talk offline about that one too because
Yes,
it's a
yes.
lot.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I'm
Well,
excited.
thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Finding the Magic podcast. I'm your host, author and podcaster Tricia Copeland, and I love getting behind the scenes. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe and stop in each week to discover new authors and books. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep finding the magic.